Hi, and welcome to worship here at New Hope. We pray that you've had a good week and that this service inspires you and brings you assurance. Assurance that God loves you, Jesus loves you. We're focused tonight on John chapter 15, verses 15 to 21. Jesus gave a command to love one another. And we want and pray that this service inspires you in that message. Tonight we have the choir singing. We have greetings from around the way. Reverend Dr. Alice Ridgedale, the Executive General Presbyter of Charlotte Presbyterian in Charlotte, North Carolina, will be with us. We have children bringing special messages. I'm bringing a word all about love. So let us enter in and be assured in the presence of God as we come to worship together in spirit and in truth.
Hey, New Hope Buds, Lambs, and Teens. On behalf of New Hope's Youth Advisory Board, we wanted to say that we miss you. We hope that you and your families are all staying safe and healthy, and we hope to see you soon. But in the meantime, we're excited to continue to connect with you virtually. We'll also continue to send out helpful information for families during the shelter-in-place order. We will continue to pray that everyone is staying safe and healthy. And remember, if you need anything at all, please reach out to us and we can help. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Hello, Pastor Chineta and New Hope Presbyterian Church. I am Alice Ridgel, Associate General Presbyter for Charlotte Presbytery, and I am delighted to bring you greetings this evening. Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for your awesome ministry. You know, I had the opportunity to worship with you in person several years ago, and I really enjoyed being there with you. So I'm looking forward, once this pandemic is over, to coming back and being in your presence again. To my good friend, Pastor Chineta, thank you for being the awesome leader that you are. And New Hope, thank you for being the awesome congregation you are. You all are doing great things, and I want you to know we're praying for you on the East Coast. May God bless you and keep you, and may heaven continue to smile upon you.
I love the Lord. He heard my cry and pitied every groan. Long as
church family, I would like to share John 14:15 through 17. Listen to the word of the Lord. If you love me, you'll keep my commands, and I will ask the Father, and he'll give you another advocate to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, from the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him because he abides with you and he will be in you. This is the word of God for the people of God.
So friends, let's talk about this commandment to love. Jesus Christ was on his way out. He was leaving his ministry in the hands of the disciples, and he commanded them to love in John chapter 14, verse 15. I think that command is real and it's necessary, especially in times like this. I recently had a conversation with a friend, and I was so inspired by his way of love. I mean, even though he is down to his very last penny, he's not sure how he's going to pay his bills. He volunteers his time to help give out food at a local church pantry. And he told me that the highlight of his week is to connect with people who understand that the struggle is real. He said, we lift each other up. We meet, we share, we connect. Sometimes I don't even know what side of the line I should be on. But it is a way of life to be there that gives me life. And I said back to him, this is a way of love that gives all of us life. And I think we see that in this text in John. As much as Jesus commanded the disciples to love one another, this command is made for us too to do the same, because we are the church. We have to carry the way of love and reflect it as a church at work in the life, reflecting the life of Jesus Christ. But then it made me think, what side of the line do we stand on? I mean, what is the church supposed to do when it is down to its very last penny? What is the church supposed to do when it can't pay its bills? What is the church supposed to do when a pandemic keeps its doors closed? I got a text this week from a local news reporter asking if I knew of any churches that were going to just pretty much shut their doors down for good due to the pandemic. I kept her text here. It says, "Hi Chineta, I hope you're well. I'm working on a story about churches in financial situations. I was wondering if you know of a church that's struggling to the point that it's in danger of shutting down due to COVID-19. I haven't responded back yet, but I told her I would, because this is what I think. The church is called to be a good steward of its finances and its material resources. That's important, and I'm going to come back to that. And yet I think the church exists beyond its bills and its building. The church is poised in the anticipation of all that it can be and all that it is to be, especially in times of trouble. The church is my friend who's going to a food pantry to serve while he is broke. The church is the teacher who borrows her neighbor's car because her car is broken to drop off homework to students whose internet just continues to stay down. The church is the family that I know that offers dinner to elderly neighbors who cannot go out. The church is the advocate of freedom that speaks truth to power and continually demands, in season and out of season, demand justice and peace and equity and freedom for all of the Ahmaud Arbery's throughout this nation. The church just won't quit. The church is alive in hope that says, if we can't meet together, then we will see you online. And if you don't have internet, then we will call you on the phone. If you don't have a phone, then we'll send you a card to your house. If you don't have shelter, then none of us can rest until we find a viable solution to this injustice. The church is driven by an intrinsic stirring up of grace that connects us with the tears and the faith of God that's poured out onto the community. It's who we are. So what is the church supposed to do when more than 1 million people die from coronavirus? What is the church supposed to do when fear and distrust continue to build power in society? Well, I know that the church is to be about love in times of abundance and in times of scarcity. The church is to align itself in solidarity with everything that Jesus cared about. And Jesus cared about the sick, the poor, the hurting, the marginalized, those living in despair. Jesus cared about those who were left on the margins. Now, let me take a minute to revisit those bills and the church and this reporter's question to me. Now, if you have means to do so, support the church financially even more. Because we're still going to be the church that God has called us to be. Now, some of you are watching this and you go to other churches across the nation. That's fine. Support your church. Let God's grace and mercy rule in your heart. Because that's what the church is called to be. And that's the church helping God's church to be a light that is called to be in the world. And while we're on this subject, I digress for a moment. There's power in this time of reflection during coronavirus. There's power and time to think about forgiveness. And I invite you to do what I'm doing and forgive someone. Be an agent of reconciliation. Use this time to share God's love in that kind of way. You see, as Jesus spoke to his disciples about carrying ministry in his absence, he promised them a few things. He said, I will not abandon you in a time of trouble. And I am going to leave with you the indwelling of God through the Spirit of truth. And you will have this advocate called the Spirit of truth and hope that will guide you in hard times. And it is reinforced in the writings of Peter, who said, I need you. I need the church to be eager to do what is good. 1 Peter 3:13, to keep your conscience clear. That's verse 16. To practice good conduct in Christ and to go about doing good and maintaining this good consciousness in and out of season. Walter Brueggemann, in a commentary that he wrote about this very text of John, the 14th chapter, he says, we're to keep loving. We're to keep loving in risky times, daring times, and in transformative ways, ways that inspire. Because that's the way of the church. That's the way of Jesus. That's the way of life. And that's his Spirit poured out upon us, that we would be so bold and so vulnerable at the same time. There was a woman who was working as a corporate executive in a fashion district in Manhattan. And in spite of her busy schedule, she would take time each month to leave her office and walk a 5-block radius in which she would connect with people who were suffering, homeless people, sick people, hurting people. She even knew some of the people by name, and sometimes she had just a word of encouragement. Sometimes it was food, sometimes it was resources and support. And one afternoon, after spending time on the streets, she was sitting in her office and there was a knock on her door. One of the executive board members walked in and he said, I just need to talk to you for a moment. I've got some concerns. We're starting to get complaints about the time you're spending on the streets with these people. You have a high-ranking position and you're making us look kind of bad because we're not going out there with you. What we would prefer, what we propose, is that you send, or we send as a group, money to a charity in support of the people that you seem to want to be around. I mean, it's safer, it's cleaner. I mean, after all, do you really want to be seen like that, hanging around dirty, poor people? I mean, they have disease. Our clients are watching you. Our designers are watching you. And honestly, you're not a social worker. She looked at him and said, but do you really want to be perceived like you're talking? Having no sense of humanity. And she said, I have been where the people that I reach out to have been. I have no problem loving and supporting these people. It's what I want to do. However, I have to put the hard work into loving this board that's a part of this corporation. That's where the challenge is. But I'm up to the challenge, and I'm excited about it. You see, love calls us to open our minds. Love calls us to open our hearts. Love calls us to be in the way of Christ and to tell the truth about it, because the moral cause of our generation says that love calls us to the streets of disregard and challenges us to be advocates of justice and peace, like people who work in food pantries while they seek to find their own relief. And we see it so clearly in the book of John. Jesus is very clear. Love one another. It's not a mere suggestion or a recommendation. It's not some novel idea. It's not even a fistful of daisies put in your face. It's a command. We can do it. We must put it into action. We must risk everything for it. We must let God lead, let God guide, let God live in us from day to day, so that we become the bounty and the bearers of good news, of transformative freedom, of hope that will not be cast out by the darkness of a temporary situation. What we're in right now is temporary. What is prepared for us is permanent. It's permanent in the love of Jesus Christ. The church is alive, and we're going to be all right, because we must challenge ourselves to let love lead the way. And when we do that, we let Christ and God have God's way in the victory of who we shall become. God bless you, and know that we love you. We'll see you soon.
I know you Good evening. I'm Chris Mears. Michelle and I have been members of this wonderful church for almost 10 years now. Welcome to New Hope Presbyterian Church, and thank you for joining us this evening. You know, we know that hundreds of people have been watching these broadcasts, which also tells us that many hundreds of people have been watching who are not currently members or supporters of our church. And to those who are not members or supporters, first of all, I encourage you to become a member or become a supporter. And in the event that you are members of another church and or support other churches, it's no crime to also reach out and support this church. So please help us with your donations, with your tithing, with your gifts. To those who are members and supporters, my encouragement and message of encouragement to you is to step out on faith. These are such incredibly worrisome times that we're all facing. None of us are having an easy time of it. All of us are worried sick about tomorrow as well as the tomorrows to come. Now above all times is the time to step out on faith. I know you're challenged. I know you're worried about the future. I know you're worried about your financial well-being as the months go by. Now is the time to step out on faith. Continue to support this church in the way this church continues to support you and in the way in which God continues to care for you in your lives. Trust in God. Step out on faith. God bless you and be safe and well. I also need to tell you there are 3 ways of giving. One is online at mynewhopepress.org. Another is by mailing your contribution into or you can actually call the church and arrange to drop your donation off personally. We will be there to greet you. God bless you and good night.
Good evening, New Hope family and friends, and welcome to your weekly New Hope Presbyterian Church announcements. New Hope, we are on our way. Construction of our new site was actually slated to begin on September 28th, 2020, but God said, New Hope, I want you there right now. Phase 1 plans have begun. Our new storage unit has been constructed and is up. We are completely on the site of our new property. We are officially moved. We are set up for work and ministry at our new address, 2580 North Orange Street, Anaheim, California. So keep us covered in prayer as we continue to do God's will and God's work. In addition to our drive-through communion, the Health and Wellness Ministry will offer free flu shots on the first Saturday in October. New Hope is here for you to help you fight the flu. It's Holy Hangout Tuesdays at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Let's laugh, relate, and relax as we journey together. Prayer Walk Thursdays are at 6:30 p.m. Come join us at the cross, socially distanced and in your mask as we give God our prayers of thanksgiving and praise for all He's doing through New Hope. Please make sure you subscribe and like us on our YouTube channel. Did you subscribe? Did you like us? Great. God bless you and see you next week.